Good afternoon. We're at the appointed hour. I will call the March 24th meeting of the Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority to order. First item of business is items from the chairman. Do we have any update from any of the committees? Update on the Oklahoma Maps River Subcommittee. I know there's a meeting this afternoon, Brian, right?
Just that there's one this afternoon, and we'll get the update on the Whitewater.
Very good. Going on to item 3 is the minutes, February 24th minutes. Do we have any corrections or additions that need to be put in? Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. It passes unanimously. Item 4 is a consent docket. We have the sand mining and oil and gas revenue report and the Oklahoma River Corridor events update. You found in front of you a page that was missing out of the events update from the printer, so that's just simply another page that needs to go into the daily activity log there. No actions needed on the item itself. Motion on the consent docket?
Move the item.
Motion and a second. Cast your vote. And it passes unanimously. Item 5 is primary agenda items. The first one is to adopt a resolution recommending and supporting the application of the Oklahoma City Boathouse Foundation to designate the section of Southeast 6th within the Boathouse District as River Sport Drive. I think this is kind of a formality now. Didn't you pass this at council today?
No.
I thought I saw it on the council agenda. I'm sorry. Okay. This is the road that comes off of the main road going east down into the Boathouse District, and I assume the naming would be from that point all the way east till it terminus at the new Whitewater course.
I think that is correct.
Okay. Do we have any questions about that?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. It passes unanimously. Item B is to approve the audit contract amendment between the Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority and BKD LLP for fiscal year 14-15 audit. Any questions on this?
Move the item.
Have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. It passes unanimously. Item C is to approve the sand mining agreement among the City of Oklahoma City and the Riverfront Redevelopment Authority and Dolisi Brothers for a portion of our property near Northeast 36th Street and their depot for their sand mining operations. This is a renewal of the agreement that's been in place. Do we have any questions on this?
I have a question. On page 6, 19B, the address and name is not on there. I can find it again. Okay.
We will have it added. It's the notice provision.
Okay. So it's okay to approve it before we have
Yes.
that information?
Yes.
Okay. That was my only question.
Okay. Anything else? Cast your vote. Have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. And it passes unanimously. Okay, item D is to recommend the Oklahoma City Council adopt ordinance amendments relating to parks, recreation, cultural affairs, etc., amending Section 38-186, Article 5, Division 3, Part A, and Section 38-754D and Article 10, Division 3 of Chapter 38, Municipal Code, as amended pertaining to restrictions on game fish. You have a short explanation of what this is?
Mr. Chairman, Doug Cupper is here with the Parks and Recreation Department. I believe this has to do with the Close-to-Home Fishing Program.
That is correct. Doug Cupper, Director of Parks, Recreation, Cultural Services. The Fish and Game Commission basically de-aligned the river as a close-to-home facility. Since we couldn't control water flow, stocking it with fish, we couldn't guarantee that the fish population that we were stocking were staying where they were supposed to stay. So they decided to take the river off the close-to-home register, and so we had to put everything back the way it was before it was made a part of the close-to-home. So this brings the river back into compliance with the way it used to be, along with state rules and things along those lines. One of the major questions that came up during the Commission's discussion on it was noodling still acceptable practices on the Oklahoma City River, and there is a portion of the Oklahoma City River that you govern that is allowable to be noodled rather than just fish in line. So I thought I'd just bring that out. I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Doug, what area is that? Is that way?
It's basically from Lake Overhoser back south to, can't remember exactly which dam it is, but goes mostly to the western end of our section of the river through the city.
Doug, real simple, what did removing it from the home fishing do? What?
Well, it changes limits and creel limits and size and number of fish and things along those lines. When it was close to home, we have tighter restrictions because we want to keep the population in those close to home lakes and ponds at a higher level, a lot more releases, less taking away. Since the river no longer falls under that jurisdiction, we needed to go back to the regular rules of basically of the state of Oklahoma as it relates to fishing.
So as far as a fisherman, an amateur fisherman, I wouldn't know the difference.
That's correct.
Any other question? Need a motion? Cast your vote. Passes unanimously. Item 6 is the claims docket. Any questions on the claims docket? We have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. It passes unanimously. Item 7 is additional items, comment by staff. Pat, you have anything on your Director of Development report?
Just a couple of items to call to your attention. We do have a meeting of the Oklahoma River Stakeholders Group tomorrow at 3 o'clock. A notice should have been sent out to everybody. You should have received them. The topic in focus tomorrow is the Arrow Meridian Hospitality Corridor and the Business Improvement District that has been proposed for that area. Many of the hoteliers and those involved have indicated they will be present, and the hope is we'll have a very fruitful discussion. Another point of interest is if you did not catch in the Oklahoman a rather significant coverage of the old Santa Monica Pier Ferris wheel that is bound for the Wheeler District project as was approved by this body and the mayor and council. I think it gives some indication of the excitement that's building for that, and certainly the idea was to put it there to create interest, and it certainly has. So I would certainly appreciate the involvement of this body, the mayor and council, as well as the Humphreys and their group. And finally, I think I would be remiss, David Birch reminded me that we all passed a significant milestone anniversary this past week. The Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority is now 30 years old as of the 19th of March. So happy anniversary. If there's any questions, be happy to address them. Otherwise, we'd request that the report be received as submitted.
Pat, you mentioned the OU negotiations on their proposed boathouse. Do you have any update on kind of any of the timing of that?
Timing is still uncertain. There are discussions taking place among the athletic department leadership, university leadership, and several of their benefactors involved. So I don't know that there's been a resolution, but I'm in contact with representatives of theirs probably on at least a weekly basis. So I think there's still strong interest. It's a matter of when and how.
Okay. Thank you.
I noticed you had the date for the UCO boathouse in there, April 18th. That's going to be a busy weekend. I know there's a lot of Memorial 20th anniversary stuff going on that weekend too. So, is that a firm date?
That was a date selected by the university and their president and their foundation. So as far as I know, that is a date that they have set. But certainly there are other activities in town that may preclude some folks from enjoying that.
Any other questions for Pat? Motion to accept his report? Cast your vote. It passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Parks and Recreation report? Doug, you get back up again.
Again, good afternoon. Doug Cupper, Director of Parks, Recreation, Cultural Services. Obviously, we're coming into our season now as it relates to hardcore maintenance of parks, recreation spaces, as well as the riverbank. Some of the major projects that have gone on this winter and will continue probably for the next few weeks. The Streets Maintenance Division is putting new riprap along the riverbank on the south side. There's been some spotting of erosion along there, so they're repositioning riprap in that area and trying to make sure that the riverbank doesn't slough off anymore. Of course, the maintenance that they're doing causes us a little bit more maintenance because of a little bit of dirt and debris left on the trail on the south side that we keep cleaned up, and we do sweep the whole river trail system at least once a week, and during times of rain and things along those lines, it may go up to 2 or 3 times during the season. The Parks and Recreation Department also replaced long stretches of the bike path on the north side of the river where the shifting soils had deteriorated the surfacing, so we put in some long stretches of asphalt on the north side of the river, basically between May and Agnew on the north side. Some of the activities that we do on a weekly basis is the cleaning of the trail, obviously mowing and things along those lines. This winter we also uplifted some of the young trees that had grown enough to start the uplifting processes so we can get 7 foot of clearance under them. We also removed a few of the dead ones that are along the way. And just from a cursory look, I wanted to be able to be upfront and transparent with you all. Of the $35,000 that the River Redevelopment Trust remits back to the Parks Department for doing the maintenance along the river, the value of the work that we do, again, cursory look, is approximately $151,000 worth of work. So I think you're getting a real good bargain from the Parks and Recreation Department for the work that we do for you. Be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Was that an information item or a request for more money?
That was strictly an information. I am not going to impact the trust. So,
Mr. Chairman,
except in a positive mode.
as we know, the budget process is coming up, so I think Doug's laying the groundwork.
Doug, just having been a department head myself, he's a smart man.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Doug. Motion to receive his report. Cast your vote. It passes unanimously. Any other staff comments? Trustees? Any citizens want to be heard? Mike? Are you a citizen or staff?
I don't know. Depends on the day, I guess. Well, Mike Knopp, the director of the Boathouse Foundation. I wanted to say, first of all, we did open our attractions last weekend for spring break. Had the largest crowd we've ever had. So, I mean, it seems like the word continues to build about everything that's going on at the river. The construction has officially begun on the Youth Pavilion, Sandridge Youth Pavilion project. Construction fencing is all around it now, and they're starting that project. Hopefully be done by midsummer. Really use it to be done as soon as possible with everything going on. And the construction fences come down on the UCO boathouse, so which is good, great progress. But I did want to take a moment to introduce somebody here today who's with us, and that's Dave Hepp, who is new to our staff. Dave comes to us from Charlotte, North Carolina. He's going to be the director of the Whitewater Center, and he managed the whitewater operations at the U.S. National Whitewater Center. Obviously highly qualified for this job. He's hitting the ground running, overseeing all of our attractions, and we're just excited to have him on board. So, all right.
Welcome, Dave. We
Mike, how
appreciate
did your
you coming.
food truck work over the weekend?
It was good to finally have it open. It did get a lot of use.
Perfect.
So it was
Great.
good. So.
Dave, did you decide to move up to the best whitewater course in the country? Looks like it. Thank you, Mike. Any other comments from citizens? Very good. We are adjourned.